What's going on, everyone? Chris Mack coming at you today with the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Collector's Edition Alan Scott Green Lantern. And if you want to big up this beautiful piece, as I always say, first and foremost, support your local comic shop or wherever it is that you get your action figures and comics and grab this piece. If not, at the time of this recording, it's unfortunately sold out at the conventional route, so you'll have to go to the secondary market. It is available on Amazon. As we can see here, beautiful rendition of Alan Scott. Cool collector card with the base. McFarlane's collector's edition here in silver with his name. Unfortunately, nothing on the bottom. The top. It would have been kind of cool if they had like the JSA logo or the old school Green Lantern logo there. On the side, that silver, cool looking window. On the back, beautiful piece from Alex Ross. Always love this shot of him. Just beautiful. On the side, of course, it says Green Lantern, Alan Scott, Day of Vengeance. I don't know what Day of Vengeance is, so if you guys want to clue me in, please let me know. Nothing on the bottom. So with that said, is this piece worth your time? Let's crack it open and get a closer look at the original Green Lantern. When you hear Green Lantern, you probably think of Hal Jordan, Gardner, John Stewart, or Kyle Rayner. But before the Corps, before OA, there was Alan Scott, DC's original Green Lantern. Alan Ladd Wellington Scott was created by Martin Nodell and Bill Finger, drawing inspiration from multiple sources: Richard Wagner's drama The Ring of the Nibelung and the sight of a trainman's green railway lantern. He wanted a hero who wielded magical powers from a ring that drew energy from a glowing green lantern. Nodell also envisioned a costume that would be colorful and striking. Borrowing elements from Greek mythology gave Scott a sense of larger-than-life heroism. This blend of opera, folklore, and everyday life became the foundation for what would become one of DC's first superheroes. Alan Scott was an everyday engineer until a train crash changed everything. From the wreckage, he discovered a mysterious, glowing Green Lantern calling out to him. Forging a ring from its energy gave him magical powers, powered by the Starheart. Donning his iconic red, green, and purple costume, Alan became the very first Green Lantern, first appearing in All-American Comics number 16 from July of 1940. Like other lanterns, Alan's power ring must be recharged every 24 hours. However, unlike the yellow impurity that would one day plague the Green Lantern Corps, the Starheart, or Green Flame of Life, has only one weakness: wood. Like many Golden Age heroes, he gained a sidekick, Dobie Dickles, a fearless cab driver whose cleverness often turned the tide in battles that superpowers alone couldn't solve. In 1944, out of the pages of All-American Comics issue 61, Scott faced his deadliest enemy yet, the undead menace Solomon Grundy. In their first encounter, Green Lantern nearly died upon discovering that Grundy's decomposed body was immune to his ring's power. Fortunately, a desperate move and a speeding train brought an end to their first fatal encounter. Additionally, Scott was a hero of Gotham, a founding member of the Justice Society of America, and eventually a mentor for the next generation. He even discovered that he had two children, Jade and Obsidian, who carried on his legacy. Over the decades, his powers and identity evolved, even taking on the name Sentinel. But through every retelling, he's remained a symbol of courage, resilience, and light against the darkness. That's a quick overview of Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern. If you want the full deep dive into his history, from his Golden Age origins, pre- and post-crisis to modern comics and live-action appearances, check out the full video over on the After Dark channel. I'll leave a card in this video so you can continue the adventure. Now that we've laid the foundation of Alan Scott's importance in DC Comics history, does this figure measure up to his legacy? When I heard this figure was announced, I chomped at the bit to pre-order it. I've been a long-time Green Lantern fan, and I never really knew a whole lot about Alan Scott until I kind of read up on it and figured out how they merged in his original history with modern day to make him a part of the Green Lantern Corps, which has always made me appreciate Alan Scott even more. Even the outfit, you can see where Nodell got the Greek mythology idea, kind of giving him the more gladiator style boots. His green pants and his belt here look absolutely phenomenal, like they're just jumping off the pages of All American Comics. I like that his Green Lantern, it's a little bit harder to see on camera. But if you can see that, I like that it matches the logo on his shirt and his lantern itself to just give it a standout difference between that of the Green Lantern Corps, to show that even though he has the powers from Oa, he's not a full-fledged member. I've always loved the green and purple cape and the way that the collar here just pops out. It always just gave him this sense of commanding power. Even though he's one of the most powerful DC characters, he's always had a heart of gold and willing to help anyone and everyone that he can. Blonde hair looks good. That purple mask with the eye slits looks good. Skin tone matches, and I'm glad that even though he has the bald peg, it's not ugly like a lot of the earlier releases, like, for example, the Suicide Squad Harley. Those are just absolutely disgusting. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to him in terms of paint apps, but beautifully sculpted. I do wish, however, though, they would have held off on this release, because the newer classics and page punchers get that nice bendy wire cape. He, unfortunately, has that ugly, fat plastic cape that you can barely sit them down with and can't do anything with. But I'll give it a pass because this is one of my favorite characters. As for the accessories, as we just saw a moment ago, we see the lantern, the star heart that called out to him when he survived the train crash. And if you all have read Doomsday Clock, then you see why the New 52 happened, where it showed that Dr. Manhattan just moved the lantern out of his reach, and he didn't become Green Lantern, which kind of what sparked the Doomsday Clock. And it's good, but it's not Watchmen good. I love the translucentness of this lantern, and again, just stands out from the regular Green Lantern Corps' standard lantern, I guess is the best way to put it. Looks great. Comes with a cool green power effect. Mostly green, kind of has like a nice yellowish hue to it. And I believe you can just slip it on his hand. And you can just see that power going on. That's really cool. And because this was a collector's edition, I believe is what they call them, I get a little confused. I just call them DC Multiverse, because essentially that's what it is. It does come with this stand, which it is what it is. I mean, if you want to display the card with the figure like so, that's kind of a neat concept. He does come with the trading card, so I'll get a close-up of it so you can check it out, the front and the back, so you can see what the read-up is on the back of the card. Then you take it, and there's a little slats, whatever you want to call them, and just carefully work it in there so it doesn't get bent. And that's all there is to it. It's kind of a hokey thing, but still, you know me, I get excited whenever we get any type of accessories with figures compared to zilch. And so we get a power effect to the card, the stand, and then of course the lantern. That's not too bad for when he first came out, and I still enjoy this release of Alan Scott. As for articulation, it's kind of your standard McFarlane, so you can tilt the head down that much on the dumbbell joint, I think is what it is. And thankfully there's enough gap that you can get the head to go back at least some side to side action. Arm goes up. And again, as I always say with your figures, warm them up first, because when I took him out, it was like trying to move a piece of wood. I had to warm him up a few good times to get him to do what he's doing here on camera. Upper thigh swivel, double jointed elbows, and then the ball joint so you can move the arm up and down and spin it around. He does move both at the waist and the solar plex, so you can get him go down that much. And thankfully, the cape does not get in the way of that, so I'm thankful for that, because I hate when these hinder any type of movement. So you have to be kind of careful doing the 360 on the arm for that reason. He does, again, twist at both sides, so you can get a nice range of motion, and you can still tell he's kind of tight where you hear those clicks saying, please don't do that. Kind of the upper thigh swivel. Leg goes up, and because he has a soft butt flap, go all the way back. Double jointed knees. Foot goes up, foot goes down, foot pivots. And then, of course, the toe joint that I said that, I hated when they first released these, but it's really grown on me for however long the McFarlane has had the DC lines. So yeah, if you're a huge Green Lantern fan or a casual fan, whichever, this is definitely one for history's sake and for the collector's sake you want in your collection. Now here's the original Green Lantern next to the core members that I currently have. This was the first John Stewart that came out from McFarlane. And then, of course, my favorite Kilowog, the 2-pack that came with Rayner, which we will eventually be going over, as well as the Platinum version of Gardner. This is the Classics, or NFT, I forget. They're all Multiverse in my opinion, but this is Hal Jordan. And then, of course, the Tomar Ray Aben Sur set, which I wish they would have came with 2 bodies. That way you could have both heads. But if you guys have like an extra Green Lantern body that you're wanting to get rid of, let me know so that I can get the Aben Sur going on as well. But I will say, in terms of history, comic book continuity, I am glad that they finally worked Alan Scott into kind of being part of the core, but not with the Starheart being different from the central power battery. But still, he is the one that kind of set the precedent for the history of the Green Lanterns. And if you are a fan, like I am, he is going to fit right into your collection. Speaking of, what do you guys plan to do with your Green Lantern figures? Are you going to set them up by teams, Justice League, Green Lantern Corps, Justice Society of America? Are you going to do action figure photography? Take some photos and share them with us over on the socials. We'd love to check it out. When I initially heard about this figure being released, I jumped up and down like a kid at Christmas. This encompasses everything that I remember from Alan Scott, both from JSA comics and Green Lantern books and whatnot. And it just looks beautiful. However, I will say, in terms of hindsight, I wish that McFarlane would have waited until he started doing the bendy wire cape so that we wouldn't have gotten this ugly, heavy plastic cape. I'm glad that those are finally, for most lines, starting to see the way of the dodo, because you cannot manipulate them. But I digress. Leaving that alone, this looks like Nodell's design. And if you are a huge fan of Green Lantern, or just a casual fan as well, this is one you got to have in your collection, because he is the one that trailblazed the way for the Green Lantern Corps and OA. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you get your action figures and comics and grab this piece. If not, you can check out the places we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you did enjoy this review, really would appreciate it if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little OA bell next to subscribe, that way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure that the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone. Hey y'all, I got some action figures up for sale to make room for future reviews on the channel. If you're interested, hit me up on the socials or shoot me an email. I'm only using PayPal for now. Check out the Google link in the description for pricing and availability. If something grabs you, we can work out a price. And just a heads up, shipping will be additional based on your location. Thanks for supporting the hunt.